Well, hi everyone. I'm Terry Murphy here with the incredible Tammy, and she is a Workman Success Senior Coach. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this woman. Imagine starting a company about slightly over 2 years ago and literally dominating the market with just a small group. Well, today, if you're here, you're going to learn a lot about how to elevate your relationships that we predominantly just call sphere of influence, but she's going to show us a literally on steroids way to build it. Hey, Tammy, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
See, and she looks like that all the time, by the way. So we like her anyway. And we've got Chet Jones, who's our master man behind the scenes here, who's always awesome with Workman Success. Thank you, Chet.
Thank you, Chet.
Okay, he doesn't like that. You know, he's...
Yes, he does.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. So, so what's a customer worth today? I'm going to tell you that it's worth so much more, because if you're watching this today and it's 23 years from now, hey, Julie's here. Yay, Julie.
Hey, Julie.
One of our other super coaches. You're going to find out that people reach out to you 23 years later, you have made a connection. And if you do the math on how often people buy, sell, or refer, you're going to find that it's remarkable how much money we're leaving on the table because we don't have a Workman Success process for keeping those relationships nurtured, valuable, and as I like to say in Tammy Slay language, making them feel significant. Tammy, tell us what you think about that.
Oh, I absolutely agree. So when we think about what is a customer worth, a lot of people come into this business in real estate and they mostly work with strangers. And then they don't develop that relationship with the stranger. They don't develop an emotional connection with the stranger, and that stranger comes and goes. So they spend a lot of time, a lot of money converting one stranger, and that stranger just comes and goes. And it's just wash, rinse, repeat, spending all this time, all this money, a converted stranger, they're gone. All this time, all this money, converted stranger, they're gone. But yet when we really spend time and put an investment in, emotional investment, a little bit of a financial investment, less than what actually it would cost working with strangers, and we really invest in our clients relationally, that one client can end up being worth $27,000, $64,000. I mean, it just goes on and on because they use you over and over and they start referring you to people.
Well, that is absolutely the truth. And so when you really respect that it's not a number, that it's actually a relationship, which takes us to our relationship slide, Chad, if you want to bring that up. And when you shift your mindset from numbers, whether it's daily success habits or checking off events, when you do that, it really talks about the consistency that's required, the actual emotional connection that happens. And even though we're in a time where we are somewhat socially distanced, you can still do that. And I also want to point out too, Tammy, that you've added an element that is irresistible. Relationships are built on shared experiences, not just numbers and value of information. And so with the relationship attitude that you've had, as we go forward, I'd like to tell people that technology is our friend. It gives us the ability to have consistency because of messaging and platform, but we can't abdicate, which means that we are relying solely on technology. And you do a beautiful job of integrating both the experiential and then the technological and then the other parts. What would you attribute that to growing your database? Because you're in an area of what, 200,000 people?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we got a large database, and the way I look at, so I have this personal connection and a personal relationship with a lot of people. And the way we utilize automation is to really just catch those balls that we may be dropping, not to just solely hold the balls. And so I to take that a little bit further. What I mean is I don't rely on automation to be the only source of contact with my database. I have to have some other kind of personal connection and personal experience with my database. The automation comes in for those filler gaps in between that, but it doesn't replace it. It absolutely can't replace it. Nobody develops a relationship with a remote. Nobody connects emotionally with a remote. We just don't do that. So The automation is great, but it's there just in support of the main relationship. We have the automation down here, but the relationship has to stand on its own outside of the automation.
And so that brings us to operational excellence. And at Workman Success, and you've heard this a lot, is that we talk about systems. And in a business of entrepreneurs, which is what real estate is, if you don't have some kind of blueprint that you're running on, you will be in what we call reactive mode, which I call shock collar, because something's going to happen in real estate every day. It's going to pull you off what your plan was. But when you have these systems in place, and you really, in our discussion yesterday, I learned so much from you. You really talk about how you plan this out, which we'll get to in a minute. But that operational excellence gives you the, I would like to say, the Siri on how to run the business, because you've included different elements, because not everybody wants information the same way, relevantly, and that kind of thing. So let's talk about how you nurture this network. And we talk about a network, and I think that one of the misnomers is that a sphere of influence, a lot of our clients think that that is just a group of people that we've got their email addresses. And yes, you might know them if they bring up your name, but you really don't. You don't have an intentional keyword to make them feel significant. In fact, and everybody needs real estate. We need food, shelter, and clothing, and those three things have been unanimous. So talk to us a little bit about how you have developed that.
I relate a lot to just how I am as a mom. When I think about relationships, our relationships start usually within a family structure. So everybody's relationship somehow starts with the family. My relationship with my mom, my relationship with my dad, and then my relationship with my extended family right now. In that relationship, in order for me to have a significant amount of time and quality time with each of my children, I have to schedule that. That's just, it doesn't just naturally happen. It's not just naturally organic. We have to schedule date night. We have to schedule dates with our kids. We have to schedule dates with our spouses. So we do that in our core relationship, in our core family. We're all very used to setting a time and blocking time. This is for this relationship. The breakdown between a lot of agents is then, for some reason in their real estate career, they tend to look at, I'm blocking time, I'm setting it aside in the beginning for a certain group of people. They tend to think, well, that's not very natural, or that's not very organic, or it doesn't feel right. But yet they don't understand they're doing it with their family for a reason anyways, because they're important. My children are important, so I allocate vacation time with them. My clients are important, so I'm going to go ahead and pre-plan when it is I'm going to touch them and when I'm going to reach out to them. And yes, my sphere, I have a lot of people in my database, and all of them I wouldn't say are in my sphere. I have some people in my database that are co-agents that I worked with on a transaction, or the lender of the buyer on the opposite side of the transaction. That database is different than what my sphere database is. If they cannot recall my name or my face, I would not call them a sphere. They have to at least know who I am. If we're looking at someone, many people think, oh, I've got a sphere of 10,000 people. Question is, do you really? Do all those people in that 10,000 list really know you? And they don't have to know you well. They don't have to remember your birth date off the top of your head, but they need to at least know your name.
And that there's been some connection other than just a real estate transaction. I mean, you have a relationship with your HVAC guy too, but that doesn't mean, that it's right. It's really a connection. So right. you bring up a good point. So you it's not one size fits all, mm-hmm. and you appreciate that, but it's all based on part of your core value, which is making people feel significant. So it's not just about the effect of doing and having an event and checking it off, but creating an experience that it has more than one application. We talked about it being obviously a marketing effort, which it is. Right. Yeah. But then what are the other two?
So I like to say we give experiences worth investing in, whether that's for agents that are joining our company or for our clientele, or anyone that's attending our events. We're giving you an experience worth investing in. Some people invest money and some people invest time. People who take time out of their day to attend one of our events, it's going to be an experience worth investing that amount of time in. And you bringing up our mission statement, which is that everybody we interact with feels significant. So when they leave our presence, we want to make sure that they feel significance. And we're very intentional with our mission statement. When you attend one of our events, or when you meet one of us outside of an event, or you meet one of us at a listing presentation, we're giving you our full attention. We talk about that prior to any kind of big event or any kind of networking event or past client event. We talk about where we're all going to be, where we're going to be placed, because it takes prior planning to go into helping others feel significant. Did that answer the question? I probably got a little off on that.
No, it's absolutely correct. So I think we need to make people understand that, you start off small. I liked what you had said when we discussed this, that you don't necessarily, well, first of all, I wanted to mention that top 50 can be part of your sphere of influence, which can be a friend.
Yes.
So they can be in different categories. I think that's often confused. And by the way, if you stay through the end of this, we have some giveaways, especially our ebook, the 8651, how to get 86 transactions from 50 people by getting one referral a year and touching them once a month. So I want people to understand that people can be in different categories, but that doesn't exclude a specific, conscientious, comprehensive top 50, which is going to be a part of what we're going to share here, because you are very intentional about how your top 50 is structured. And as we get into some of these events, it's not about, what would you say, kind of blackmailing people? I think you used that.
Yeah, it's not. It's not getting into that, sometimes approaches can feel a little icky or a little smarmy. I'm very authentic with what I ask people to do. It's something I feel very strongly about. I don't like the approach of I'm going to kind of beat around the bush, or I'm going to, be a hint here and a hint there and hope that you catch my meaning, or be a little sneaky with it. I'm very authentic and very straightforward and upfront with what we ask of our sphere. And that includes past clients, referral partners, the sphere, the family, friends, people that we have actually in our top 50 program. So we're very authentic, very honest and upfront.
So just give us, before we get into the actual events, which are so much fun, just give us a little script on how you do that.
So if I'm talking to someone that I would like to be a part of my top 50, and for those of you that aren't familiar with what a top 50 is, a top 50 is an initiative program that is built to generate leads for you and support your business. And it's made up of 50 people that know, like, and trust you, but that are your rally people. These are the people that are your raving fans that want you to succeed. These are the people that at any moment you can reach out and call upon them for assistance, support, help, because they are your raving fans. I like to also kind of swap places here and think, what are those businesses that I'm a raving fan of? Fizz, which is a soda shop, is a business I'm a raving fan of. They can call upon me at any time to rally around them, to generate business for them, because I'm that raving fan. So when we put ourselves in the position and we think, what are those businesses? Workman Success Systems, another one I'm a raving fan of. At any time, Workman knows they can call upon me to rally around whatever they need me to do. And I'm happy to do it for them. So the top 50 are those 50 people in your life that are in the same level of rallying around you that you would be for another business. Now, when I'm talking to someone, I could have, decades of a relationship with an individual and they're not in my top 50. But if I identify them as someone that rallies around me, I pick up the phone, or we meet for lunch, and I just have a simple conversation around, and it would go something like this. Hey, Terry, do you have a moment?
For you always.
Thank you. What I love about that is it sets the tone of, I'm about to have an important conversation with you. So if you don't have a moment, then we need to hold this for another time. But it really sets, this is different. I'm not just beating around the bush. I'm not jumping into forward script. I'm immediately saying, hey, Terry, do you have a moment? And then I go, okay, there's something I've been wanting to ask of you for a while, but I didn't want it to upset our friendship. And then I just thought, you know what? Terry loves me and I love Terry, and I'm just going to come out and I'm going to ask this of Terry. So handle me gently, okay? Handle me gently, because this is about my business and our goals. And as you know, my husband and I, we have a grandson now. See, and every time I talk about him, I start tearing up.
There she goes. She goes.
Me too. I just tear up. But we have a grandson now. And we love that little boy so much. And we want him to have a lot of the same experiences that our children had with their grandfathers. And that was where they had land out in the country where we would take them and they'd go camping and they'd go four-wheeling and they'd pick blackberries. And we had a great experience out there in the country with our children, with their grandchildren, or our children with their grandfathers. And we want to provide that same for our grandson. And so we're really working hard this year to save up enough money to invest in some land out in the country. So what I've decided to do is I'm starting to launch what I call a VIP group of top 50. It's an initiative I'm taking on, and it's the top 50 people that know, like, and trust me, and that are my raving fans and willing to rally around me and share my name with other people that they know are interested in moving, either buying or selling. So all I'm asking is, would you be okay if I call you every month to ask if you know of anybody looking to buy or sell real estate? Is that okay? Could you handle me calling you?
You can call me. Yes.
No. And that's really it. So, I mean, that's just it. It's authentic. It's
correct.
true.
Yep.
It's correct. It's true. There's no lie in it. And this is what I love about the Workman's approach, is it's honest and it's authentic. I've seen other programs and other coaching programs that have very similar SOI programs, but they want you to name drop real estate. Like if you're calling a sphere and they ask you and you say, well, how's your week going? Oh, it's going good. How's your week going, Tammy? And you go, well, you know, I was showing homes and I'm having a really good real estate career. And, you know, the market is going good. Like, you're just name dropping. You're just hinting. And you're hoping that through that hint, they're going to go, oh, I know someone. To me, that's not honest.
So you're setting the parameters of the agreement. I would like to add to that, because as being an engagement specialist, I like to make people feel comfortable and valuable. And it speaks to your core value about making people feel significant. There are many people I am absolutely a flat out raving fan. I mean, I have no problem sharing, you know, the name of my hairdresser or my favorite Terminix guy, because we're BFFs. And my point is, I'm not expecting anything from that.
Right.
But I truly want you to have a great experience. And when you say to that person as well, I am so glad that you want to be part of my most valuable, because I value you so much. And I know there's probably ways for me to use my resources, because having been in business for X amount of years, we've developed a great relationship with support people that can help you. And I want you to feel free to ask me anytime for that, because I do have unlimited resources, because we're very visible in the town. And in your case, oh yeah. And then, you know, if you're that confident in my services, I'd love for you to refer me to someone as well. Is it okay if I contact you just to be top of mind and to catch up? I mean, it's a little softer, but it is just as clear. Depends on your behavioral style, how you would do that. It's not one size fits all, but you just, the point I think that Tammy's trying to make before we get into how she does that, is that it sets the parameters for the expectations. And truly, because somebody is a most valuable player or most valuable person, you're going to have a more invested interest in them than just anybody. And that would be normal, just like any kind of living thing, any kind of relationship or plant or kid or dog. You have to, there's an exchange there that's mutually supportive and I would say respected. So when you go into it, instead of just picking 50 people that you think will give you a referral, think about the relationship, which is what we started off with. So Chet, I'd like to go to the next slide. And you have literally created ways to highlight who you are and what you do, because one of the other issues we see is that so many of our clients and coaching clients, they have a sphere of influence and they don't grow it. And that's imperative because people's lives change every day. Thank you. That's why we're in real estate. So we talk about events both quarterly and annually. We talk about individual events. We talk about how you support at the same time some of the businesses. You talked about Fizz. We're going to get there. But I want you all to listen up when she gets there, because she's outdone herself, which is annoying at best. But it's fun. So let's talk about movie night. Now, several of our coaches conduct movie nights, but you, to me, brought this to a new level. You made it look like a Hollywood runway. Tell us a little bit about this picture.
So it kind of was like a Hollywood runway. I would say anytime you interact with our team, it's just an event. No matter where we are or what we're doing, anytime we interact with people, it's certainly an event. And we do blow things up a lot. So movie night, this was the launch, the night that Toy Story 4 was launched. So this was the premiere night of Toy Story 4. And we had run a social media campaign for people to enter in a drawing and see who would win a ticket. And we rented out the theater. We packed the theater, and everybody that attended got a Hip Realty Group t-shirt. So you're going to see these t-shirts on these couple individuals here, and it had our logo on the back, and on the front it said, "You've got a friend in me." And we've used that tagline a couple of different times since that night of Toy Story 4. But when people would come, this was in the local mall in our community, and people would come up the stairs. Now imagine several hundred people in a mall at one time entering the mall, because the movie starts at a certain time. They got to arrive at a certain time. So everybody in the mall on that Friday night is seeing several hundred individuals of families walking into the mall, then coming up the stairs and to Toy Story. Everything we do is very intentional. This isn't just, something we thought would be fun. There's actually a reason for that, because our team is paying to rent out an entire movie. I'm going to leverage that as much as possible. So when you rent out a movie theater and you have 400 or 500 people walking into a mall, why not put them in a t-shirt with a huge logo on it? That is a statement. That created an impactful impression that was not only posted by those people, but by people we don't even know. They just happen to be in the mall. What is going on? What is this event that Hip Realty Group is doing? Because there's 500 people coming into this mall right now wearing these t-shirts. Well, then when they came upstairs, we had this photo booth. So the ones with the balloons that you see Carly at, that's my transaction coordinator. That's where they registered. And when they signed in, they got their ticket, and then they got a gift card to go to the concession stand. And we greeted everybody at that line. The entire team was there to greet everybody. Then they went over to our photo booth, which our photo booth is laden and covered in our logo for anybody who's posting. And not only was it just our people that posted that night, there were a lot of other families that were just happened to be in the mall for other events, but they wanted to take a family photo of themselves. So we had traction throughout social media from just other people attending the event. Just in the mall. And then they would move on over to the Toy Story 4 setup. And then when you curve around there, which you'll see on the probably in the next slide, we do a balloon arch at all of our events. We've even done these at open houses. So balloon arch is just something that's part of our culture. People are going to know that the balloon arch is set up. Again, it was an impactful thing. Instead of just seeing the typical door, anybody, not just our several hundred people, but anybody in that mall is going, what is happening over there? And how can I become a part of Hip Realty Group's database so I can be invited to this type of event as well? After they proceeded into the theater, everybody sat down in their seat, and on their seat were some gift bags from us that had other treats that were donated by other vendors in the local community. And then I spoke for maybe about 5 minutes to everybody there. And then we proceeded and we watched the movie. We had a great time. And then it was over. They all left with a game. And the game was similar to Yahtzee, but it was called Hipsy. It was a yard game, and there were cubes of wood about this big. So think of playing Yahtzee with the dice. And the cubes, they had on little hip logos where the dice would be. So a dot would be a hip, and then 2 dots on the dice will be another HIP logo, and they play that game out in their yard. So for years to come, they're going to be rolling the HIP dice out in the yard. So when I'm doing an event, I am looking for every single way I can leverage that and get my logo out there more. Is that it? Do you want me to explain more? That help? Oh, did I lose Terry? Hey, chat. I think Terry is frozen too, so we're just going to keep listening to me talk. Chet, you want to roll on to the next slide? All right, so another thing I'm involved in our community is I am involved in scouting. Been involved in scouting for a very long time. So the 2 pictures you're going to see is a well-decorated shirt with lots of patches on it, because I have been involved in scouting for, I would say, close to, well, since my 22-year-old son was 8 years old. So Ben started just as a Cub Scout leader with him and moved on to directing camps in the local community. I actually love camp. On the right, a photo that you see in my Willie Nelson hairdo there, which I sported that all week long at that camp. That is a girls' camp that I was a part of for about 6 years straight. So one thing that not only myself, but everybody on my team has is a passion for directing camps. And that's something we like to do every single year in the summertime. So let's see, you want to go on to the next one as we get Terry back in here. This is my daughter. And again, this was another camp. I'm also a range master. So when we go to camps, part of my position is teaching the boys or the girls how to shoot archery. And my daughter there, Ella, this is my youngest, she's been with me from the very beginning and loves teaching. Actually, everybody comes to camp with us, including my mom and my dad. But camping's always been just in our blood. What I love about camps as far as business is it puts you in a different, now at these camps, we don't have the HIP logo. This is for other organizations that I'm a part of, but it gives a statement to the community at large that I care about them, and I really do. I care about the youth in my community, I care about the children in my community, I care about the adults in my community, and I love to rub shoulders with them. When I first created HIP Realty Group and was thinking about where to spend our marketing dollars, I knew I could either spend my marketing dollars in Zillow, or I could spend my marketing dollars in my community. And I made a choice, and it was a conscious choice, very intentional choice, to spend our marketing dollars in our community. I would rather spend money at an establishment. I would rather spend money on my sphere and my people than spend money on Zillow. So that's a personal, and my team supports that, and they are a part of that vision and as well. Let's go on to, I think we're getting her back in. But I'm just going to take it from here. We'll go on to the next slide, Chet. Oh, our golf team. Again, we were asked if we wanted to support a local golf tournament in the area. And of course, we said, yes, we're all in. So whereas everybody else, all the other companies that supported this golf tournament, they just came and they were in just regular shirts. We put our golf team in a HIP Realty Group t-shirt, or it's actually a really nice HIP Realty Group polo. But you're going to see on the side of their arms the HIP Realty Group. And every one of those men are amazing men and great golf players, but they still wear them. And when we posted this, we had other golfers in the community said, hey, that's a really sharp looking shirt. I'd like one of those shirts as well. So we've been able to give shirts to other people. I'm all about, if you'll wear my logo, I'll buy you clothing. Now that's not like a slogan I tag, but I really will. We have in our office here, every Wednesday morning, they serve breakfast. And at Christmas time, the receptionist said, on my wish list is a new toaster. I need a better toaster because this toaster is just always running out. And this is a building that we rent office space from. And I told her, I said, I'll buy you a toaster if I can put a logo on it. Literally, I'll buy you anything if I can put a logo on it. And so now up front of this big office, pretty much all the serving utensils, everything out there has HIP Realty Group logo on it. Hey, we got Terry.
Yeah, we got me back. We've got some weather rolling in here, but we're good. So, Tammy, we got a couple of questions that I want to answer.
Okay.
One is, I know that COVID has definitely impacted, but you have to understand that's not forever. And if we can show people how to be ready to launch when we are no longer having this issue, you're better prepared to engage again, because everybody has been socially distanced, which has been uncomfortable and unnatural. And so people are ready to get going, and when they are, we want to be prepared. And by the way, we at Workman Success have a whole process for setting up a movie event in a product that we call Agile, which means that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We know what the process will be. But clearly, I couldn't afford to do this if I'm some of the people on this call. So how much would it cost to do that? I've heard people rent a theater for as little as $200, $100. It kind of depends. We also believe in strategic partner participation, because everybody helps everybody. Workman Success is all about engaging people. So your lender can help, your title people can help, your inspectors can help. I mean, these are all ways to defer costs. But when you first started, clearly you weren't doing this kind of level.
Oh, no, I wasn't. No. I worked up to this. So no, when I first started, I was not throwing a movie theater for people. I might have taken you on a date to the movie, but I was not inviting several hundred to the theater. And to me, it's not about really the numbers, it's about the leveraging. When you learn how to leverage, your business booms up. That's really the principle that I would hope that comes across here, is not about all the events and the money that goes in, because it is, and I'm happy to share numbers with people. It's about the principle of leverage. You can throw a movie, you can invite a lot of people to a movie, and you can rent out a movie space. To me, it's a waste of time and a waste of money if you didn't leverage it. If it just came and went, and you just went, yeah, I took my people to the movie, and that was it. They sat there, they watched the movie, they had a good time, and you're over. It's always about the leveraging with your sphere. How can you make that money go further? Golf team, whatever it is, camping, all of it, it's about leveraging the money and the investment that you have in it.
And it also stands with how we create our business plan and our strategic plan. If your strategic plan is to reach out to your community, you can even support shelters, dog shelters, women's shelters, there's the veterans. It kind of depends on what your purpose is and your intent. And if you're just in the business to make money, that's a good thing, but you have to understand that giving and giving back and sharing resources, and I'm just talking about a great painter. If somebody needs a plumber, they know, because we know, because we're in the business. So I know that we got interrupted here, and I apologize. The camp volunteer, you talked about helping a community gifts with school supplies. That doesn't mean that you have to buy them all. It means you can also go to some clients and customers. Somebody asked the question, how do you leverage? And one of the ways to leverage is, hey, I'm Tammy Slay. We're collecting some supplies for our schools. What can you share? What would you be willing to donate? I mean, you become the leader, and you can leverage people. And then like you said, look at the people that you're raving fans of and support, right? And we're going to get into that with some fun things with like Fizz and Buttermilk, so that you can see that when you support other small businesses, they want to reciprocate. It's a book by Robert Cialdini on the power of persuasion. And so tell us a little bit quickly about how you would leverage like the community give back for school supplies.
So that came about with a client of mine, not in my city, but in another local city in the DFW area. His little girl was selling chocolate bars. And she called me on the phone and she said, Miss Tammy, can I ask you a favor? And I said, sure. She said, well, we're doing a fundraiser for school and we're selling chocolate bars for $2 each. Would you buy a chocolate bar? And I said, well, what are you doing with the fundraising money? And she said, well, it's going to buy our crayons and our pens and our pencils and our chalk. And this is for our school supplies for the year. And
Don't cry. She's a crier and her
I know
makeup
I
never
cried.
runs, but she
Um,
figured out a way to leverage it because of who she is
it,
and who she is in the community.
imagine doing a fundraiser for crayons. Here's a school that is so in need. They're selling chocolate bars for crayons, okay? And I had to think like, wow, you know, I thought for sure it's to bring in the Harlem Globetrotters, or for sure it's to connect with NASA. No, they wanted crayons. And I said, well, honey, tell me this. How many bars do you need to sell in order for you to win? And she went, I don't know. And I said, well, who has sold the most bars in the school? And she didn't know. And I said, you go find that out and you call me back. And she did. And she told me how many bars it took for her to win. And I said, well, I'm going to double it. So I'm going to buy double that amount of bars, and then being like 2,000 bars of chocolate. No, it was 1,000 bars of chocolate, which is about $2,000. But that paid that $2,000. And it sounds a significant amount of money, but you imagine kindergarten through fifth grade to pay for their school supplies for the year. And I took those chocolate bars and we wrapped them up and we delivered them to Sphere. They were given out at Christmas time. They were done with pop buys. I mean, $2 a bar is a pop buy. That's not a bad gig there. So we leveraged that all over. And this young girl got to have lunch with the principal because she won the fundraiser. She got to invite all her class members to an ice cream party because she won the fundraiser. She got to ride in a limo because she won the fundraiser. She got entered in a drawing for, like, this little girl had the time of her life.
You changed her life, basically. You changed her life.
It was Disney. Yeah, she got to go on stage, and the news did an article about it. I got a call from the principal about, like, it was a significant moment to her.
Well, it was also a significant moment because if you understand our system for nurturing and incubating referral sources, places where you can get resources for your business, which is equal to celebrating and supporting others. She again, multifaceted the legacy here. She helped the child. That kid now knows how to think bigger than selling one candy bar. And, you know, for you to pop by to see someone that you've done business with, just to say, you know, I appreciate the fact that we did business together for $2 is pretty darn good, because it costs almost 50 cents to send a note, not to the note, and you're doing a chocolate bar. And by the way, it's tax deductible because it is part of your marketing. So let's move on to your local soda shop. This is particular, I'm going to warn you, this is outrageous. I don't know where it could happen anywhere else except in Tammyland. Okay, so local soda shop needs some help. People aren't drinking soda. COVID's there. How did you do it?
Oh, so again, when deciding what our business model was going to be and where we're going to spend our marketing dollars, we decided we're spending our marketing dollars on the community. So when people are looking at this, sometimes events seem extracurricular, not for us. Events are our marketing. Our core marketing, and we don't buy high volume lead generation. We don't pay for that. Our events are our leads for us. This is our core marketing budget and our core lead generation budget. So Fizz Soda Shop is a local soda shop company that makes delicious soda drinks. I mean, we're a huge fan of it, as you can tell with the photo on the right. And we started doing events there. This was actually our very first community event when we opened up Hip Realty Group. And we said for 2 hours, we're going to be there from 12 to noon. Anybody that wants to come can come. And we're going to buy you a soda. I didn't put a limit on the soda. I didn't say one per party. I didn't say you can only get a small. I didn't say it. And honestly, I didn't know what to expect. I really didn't. I thought I'm either going to make some money or I'm going to break the bank and I'm going to have a talking to with my husband. I didn't know which way it was going to go. And we had about 60 people that came. And I would say probably about 60% were from our sphere. And the other 40%, we didn't know. They were from Fizz Soda Shop sphere. They were marketed to to those people that follow them. And that was about 40% of people that we didn't have information on. And when people come to our events, learn from my mistakes here, at first we just asked for their name and their phone number. We did it over pen and pencil. And then it took a lot of time to transform that data into a database because it was done written. Now we have people sign in and we use an iPad and we ask for a name, phone number, email address, and then the question, do you know of anybody looking to buy or sell real estate? Yes, no, or maybe. It's a required question. So everybody that attends our events answers that question and we generate leads from that. Again, I would rather put the money into the local community and into treating my people than buying large leads from another big corporation.
You know, a lot of realtors we spend, having been one for and am one forever, is we spend a lot of money that we don't see a return on investment. So again, if you're watching this and you're thinking, I can't do this, I mean, don't, you know, this is a no excuse area as we are at Workman Success. We look at everything as a roadblock's a good thing, make us do something different. And because we've got about 18 minutes left, I want to get through some of the things you've done that are bizarre and only you could do it. The soda shop, she actually has her own flavor. They call it the hipster flavor. And would you just briefly tell us what that is so we can go on to egging?
It's Diet Coke, fresh lime, and coconut.
Okay, which again,
is delicious.
What realtor do you know has their own drink? Okay, and if you'll notice from the pictures, there's a soda flavor there. Egging is something that Christy Buck had come up with that was the first time I learned about it, Christy Buck in Pearland, Texas. About how could you celebrate certain holidays in a way that was more, I'm going to use the word differentiated because it's more personal and relational and intentional. And it takes a process and it takes certain steps and it takes planning. But again, if you only did it for 10 people, everything works, nothing doesn't. And so on the egging procedure, you talked about picking in your annual calendar as we look at our business plan and our strategic plan, is that in April and October, you do these kinds of events. April being Easter and October being fall and Halloween. So talk to us briefly about egging because I want to talk about the yogurt giveaway and the bees and the pies and everything else.
The egging giveaway is basically you've been egged. So we go out and 12 eggs per home, we hide them like an Easter egg hunt and we put the sign in the yard, you've been egged, and we leave a little bag or a basket for them to gather the eggs with. And when kids come home from school or in the afternoon when they find it, we don't, knock on the door and let them know, we just place it. Then they go on their own Easter egg hunt in their front yard. This has been a real treat, not just for the young kids, but even for the elderly in the community, because that's not often they do an Easter egg hunt for themselves. And so that's been the biggest surprise out of this is we went into this thinking, oh, it's just going to be by, the younger generation that likes it, but it's actually the older generation that are finding the most joy out of it.
Well, not only that, but it's very visible. I mean, the little sign in the yard, everybody wants to know why they didn't get one. Mm-hmm. It creates a sense of fun that creates the connection. I just want to keep reiterating that this isn't just doing events and buying plastic eggs and filling them with candy and that kind of thing. Yeah. Your local frozen yogurt giveaway, obviously, again, with COVID, people were all hurting locally, especially because they don't have the funds of a national reach or franchise. What did you do there?
So this one, the photo is of one we did prior to COVID. But during COVID and supporting, because this one actually, they couldn't let people in, they're back open now, but we supported Fizz being one and popcorn shops and some other places, a cookie shop where people could pull up and get a treat and then they could leave, or we delivered the gifts or the food to their door. So we were still supporting our local businesses, just it looked a little bit different than it normally does. And in April this year when we did the egging, we didn't place the eggs in the yard. We had them in a Ziploc bag, so we just left them on the door for them to place. That one was the biggest, we've gotten the biggest return of and the biggest impact of, because everybody said at that time in April when we did the egging, with COVID going on and they're all out of school, was we thought for sure this year we weren't going to get it. And with everything else being so unstable, the one person we could still count on to deliver was HIP Realty Group. So thank you for making my kids' day, because you still met their expectations of what they expect. It's like having Christmas and Santa didn't come, right? The North Pole shut down and Santa didn't come. All these people thought for sure we're not going to get egged this year, and they still were, even though
they did.
hard. They
But
did.
that's, if you remember in the opening of this program, we talked about consistency, and we train people for expectations, and then we have to keep delivering, which is why operational excellence is so important. Your business plan, your strat plan, and making sure that you incorporate that into your My Planned Week and then My Daily Success Habits. The one that was you support attorneys, you support bees. I'm assuming that's you in the bee outfit. Which
No, that's not me.
Thank you. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not going to, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I would not be that forthcoming. Let's go to the free pie for everyone, because when I heard you said free pie, I about freaked out. Many years we have served the community with celebrating client appreciation. People want to be heard, especially now because the sequester is socially distanced us. I hate to use the word, but the free pie to everyone, again, it's not just handing them a pie, because nobody needs to drive through an hour and a half of traffic in Boston or LA for a pie. But tell us what you did with your free pie event and how that helped Buttermilk, which was the name of the company.
Yeah, we opened that up to the community at large. Again, anybody could come. We did a Facebook event to announce that the pie event was happening. It wasn't just for our past clients. It wasn't just for our sphere. It was anybody that wanted to come during these hours. They would get a free pie, and they were 3-inch pies, so not a big expensive pie. It was just a 3-inch pie, and they were apple, pecan, I think pumpkin. So they're just different varieties of pies that they would pick up. And we had outside of the shop there, you can see the table is set up, and we had iPads and devices for people to sign in. Everybody signing in, name, phone number, email address. You know, if anybody looking to buy or sell real estate, again, this is how we lead generate. So we spent our money dollars here, and we connected. We had a couple of vendors there as well, taking on some of the cost of that. And the entire team was there. We're wearing our t-shirts, branding it. Experience. We had our photo booth set up, and it was bring your friends. So we had a lot of people. There were close to 80,000 that said they were coming, which just kind of put the whole city in this.
Okay, yeah, I don't want you to freak these people out. Yeah, 80,000 pies would be a bit much.
No,
yes,
we didn't have that many show up, but that's the traction it got on social media of the number that said they were coming. So we did have to be prepared as parking lot. Do we need to be prepared with people coming in a certain way? And again, if we're going back to our very first community event, there were about 60 people that came, you know, to our very first one. This is one that we did just this last November. So it was a little bit more recent. It didn't start out this large, but we were kind of going, how many are going to come? We're not really sure how many are going to come. And I was like,
well, not only that, but
credit card have that amount of money on it, like.
Not only that, but you know, but you have to understand it's about not giving away free food. I know that Christy gives the overage to the fire department or the commissions. But here's the thing you need to understand about this. Yes, it's branded, but it's not branded like it's not branding the franchise that you work with. It's branding you and your team. The fact is that you put that core value on there that you're, community helping community. So people know that at the base of it, yeah, it is marketing. Of course it is. But you also don't want to get something anonymous like a pie you don't know who you got from because, you don't know. Somebody asked about the candy bars. I'm assuming that you went ahead and put the HIP Realty little card on it so that people knew that you were, again, helping the schools and that they could also do that. You're always inviting. Yeah.
The pies had our logo on it. Everything has our logo on it. Yeah, so everything.
I had someone ask me that, and I wanted to be sure we addressed that. The one that was really fascinating to me as we roll into the last few minutes is the popcorn. Now, I'm going to tell you that popcorn is a commodity. You can make it home. And this little company was struggling a little bit. And of course, COVID has its impact on everything because movie theaters aren't selling popcorn, but everybody likes it. So, and I want to point out that delicious little dish on the right is your mom in the apron. But tell us a little bit what happened. You walked into them. I mean, if I was listening to this, I'd say, well, you just walked in and said, hey, we want to help you sell popcorn. I know you're having a tough time. What did you do?
First we messaged them just over Instagram. saw your marketing's picked up, trying to get people in there. You can't get people in there. Deliveries can't really happen like they used to. A lot of the events that they normally would have provided popcorn for weren't really happening like they used to. And they're a darling shop. And love the owner. She's got a fantastic story behind her as well. So we reached out, and this is when we've developed a relationship with. And this photo event, it actually happened almost 2 years ago, is we went there and we said, can we use your shop to do a team photo event? So, we're both helping each other, and they provided their shop for us to do team photos at. We made a fun postcard of it, and this postcard actually goes out for many things. We use it all the time. Friendship is popcorn in the cinema of life, and we'll send it with a gift to somebody. And when COVID hit, we reached out to them. It's actually hiprealtygroup.com. So when COVID happened and we reached out to them, we bought a lot of bags of popcorn, and then we went and we did pop-bys, and we dropped them off at our friends and our spheres and other people's homes, just to say, hey, hope you're doing well, hope you're having good, we're still here for you, we're still thinking about you, but we still want to be able to support this small business. And when we originally started talking, we thought we're going to have people drive up at this, but it got between our first discussion to our last discussion, the restrictions became so strict that we couldn't even have people pulling up to the shop. So it became us just picking up a large amount of popcorn. And I can remember going in there and picking up all this popcorn, and the owner was like, I can't believe you're doing this. As everybody else is canceling orders and hunkering down, you're still out there remembering your people.
And that shares a work ethic that I think you need. So she didn't have to reach out to them, but she did. People aren't going to movies, they're watching movies at home. What a fun idea. Yes, we tagged the bags that it came from Hip Realty, but it changed their life. It also changed how she can go to them when she's looking for crayons or support for the bees or whatever, that she is part of her resource network. So I want to talk about how you get personal. If there's a word that you take away from this event, it's called experiential. And so I want you to get into what if it would work to have a different experience. Anybody can send a birthday card, but we know that you can do it differently. One of our other coaches, and this was just because I had pictures, Tammy, I want to share a little secret. Tammy hates writing notes. She absolutely hates writing notes, and she practices and she tears them up and she wastes paper. So she hired her mother, like her mother hasn't done enough work in the years she's been alive, to write them, because her mother loves writing notes. But again, everything works, nothing doesn't. It's progress, not perfection. And personal notes are also rare when we've been in automation for so long. So you want to talk about how Brooke does this and how you do it?
So Brooke does something fantastical, and I love this. So when Brooke sends a happy birthday card to one of her clients' children, she includes a dollar bill in it. How neat is that? I mean, we're used to, like our grandparents would send something with $1. And then for her adult clients, she'll send them just a scratch off ticket, a lottery ticket, and sends them. So it's just something a little bit different. It's not, fully branded. It didn't come from a major company that has, this EXP or Remax logo on it. It's coming from her, and it's coming from her company. It's signed by her. And it's just a little something extra that didn't cost a lot of money to recognize and to honor them on their birthdays. So
let's just talk about real quick how you can do this. So when you're doing your January touch, when you're doing one of your phone calls, whether it's your top 50 or sphere of influence, and you collect birthdays, you buy a bunch of cards, and literally you can go to the Dollar Tree and get them for $2 or you could order them with something specific to you. Again, not selling a franchise, no disrespect to the franchise, but Mr. Exit is not sending the card. Mr. Coldwell is not sending the card. You are. And it's like getting a birthday card from State Farm Insurance from State Farm and somebody's signature on it, and it doesn't really have the same experience attached to it. So by putting in something, and if you're not into scratch off, people put in donations in their name, just something that's relevant to them. Taking care of, if they're a big, pet person, something for the shelter. Again, think more personally on connection and emotional connection, because people want to work with people who care. I would also like to say you can use video email instead of just a flat email, because that's more experiential. You have to watch someone, and there's plenty of programs out there that allow for that. And I know that You do a lot of fun things on social media. We share things on social media generally because it is the algorithms link with people and with people who have the same kinds of interests and are doing things that I think are high level, and people want to, when you get that response and that energy, then it kind of works. You know, COVID has definitely changed how we do things, and we can either look at it as a roadblock to find a new way to do things or not. And one of the most impactful to me is what you can do virtually. Didn't know that would work. If you're not a Zoom fan, you need to learn how to use it. It's relatively inexpensive. But talk about you know, just our huddles for our own people, or how about doing quick webinars on what's happening in real estate, or doing something on a virtual book club? What else do you suggest?
So we've done virtual game nights, like categories or bingo, some date nights that you can get together with your sphere. And we've done them virtually. We've gotten together and we've had team nights where, you know, my husband and I would get together with about 4 other couples virtually, and then another team member would be with 4 other couples, and another team member 4 other couples. Then we've done them also where it's been more family nights. So we're reading a story, or we're sharing a game, or doing a presentation, and we got families that are tuning in and watching. It has absolutely nothing to do with real estate. It just has to do with, you know, connecting with people and utilizing the tools that we have. So I would say really the game nights or game days, whatever, but develop some, just do the same thing you're doing, you just do it a little bit differently. Exactly. Really nothing has changed. You're just shifting just a little bit differently.
Well, if we bring up the next slide, we talk about value, and value is using a platform, a process, a system that's working and has proved to be working, and being able to buy it to try it. And one of the most successful platforms, every single one of you on this call has a sphere of influence. You have people that know, like, and trust you. If you have to think about it, you think about who are you a rating fan? I love the way you said that. And so we are giving away our tracker, which helps you monitor that. Reciprocity and recognition are a big deal. So if somebody gives you a referral, even if it doesn't necessarily turn, you're grateful. Gratitude always helps us with scarcity. The 8651 book was a collaboration between Verl Workman of Workman Success and Mike Parker. I threw my 2 cents in with the how-tos, because a lot of times we're not that creative when we're never done it before. So I'm hoping you'll avail yourself of getting that. Chet, how do they get that download?
Everybody will receive an email later today with those downloads available. And if you're looking for more information on Workman Success, we'll have a nice little button you can click on to get that information.
Also, while you're not in witness protection behind the scenes here, everybody is asking if this is being recorded, and I'm assuming it is.
It is, and you'll have a link to that recording in that same email.
See what I told you about Chet? He's just awesome. And here's the thing, it's tracking. And if you pull up the tracker, your leads that come in are people that have raised their hand. And if you're making people feel significant, which is Tammy's core line, you have to respond. And so often, because we are, again, a shock collar business, you know, things happen and our days don't go perfectly. It happens to everyone. What's your process for answering, respecting, and responding to those people? There are no bad leads, just people aren't ready to buy. Nobody just throws out an email for no good reason. They've had some interest. And so we believe in tracking systems, which is part of one of the systems that Workman Success. And if you need some more information about that, we have a number for you to call. Chet, do you want to give them the number?
Everybody can call 385-206-6778. That'll connect you directly with one of our consultants who are always willing and happy to help.
I'm really
a good voice for that.
Doesn't he though? And they don't even know how adorable he is. I sound like a creepy cougar. Sorry, Chet. So I want to thank Carrie and Deb and Lydia for participating, asking us questions. Thank you, Julie, for being on. If you can ever catch one of Julie's. Tammy, you, for me, and I've been in the business a long time, gave me a new dimension to how to really nurture and love back on our sphere of influence, even if they are not directly in our sphere of influence. But all energy has repercussions. And when you're out there recognizing and supporting people who don't expect it, Those are people that are going to support you when you need it. And I'm not saying you do it for that reason, but you have such a commitment to your community because your community is where people live and you help them buy houses and sell houses. So I want to thank Tammy for her expertise and her amazing braveness to start a company 2.5 years ago and build it to one of a real force. You are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. What specific city?
Frisco.
Frisco, as in not in San Francisco, but is in Frisco,
Correct.
Texas, because everything's bigger in Texas. Chet, I want to thank you. I want to thank Workman Success Systems for putting together a blueprint for how we can improve our lives, which improves the life of our families and our communities. Thank you for taking time out of your day to advance your skill set so that you can be of more value, and that helps you and everyone else. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us for another Workman Success webinar, seminar opportunity, because you will be better for it. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Terry.